Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails. Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode number 25. Today, we're going to be talking with Kelsy Bingham. So if this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Trail Manners Podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trail Manners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome back to the Trail Manners Podcast. We are at Roosters Brewing Company on beautiful 25th Street in Ogden, Utah. We've been here before. We had to come back for the tasty chow, some tasty brews. As always, Joel, with you, how are you?
Doing well today, thanks.
And today we've got a special guest. And
Well,
I know
we always say special.
I was going to say, we say that all the time, but it's kind of true, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we feel pretty fortunate that we have the guest with us today. Go ahead and introduce her, Joel.
So this very special guest. Yeah. I got to know her through the gym first. She came in, wanted to work out because she was mountain biking at the time, and she wanted to just get a little bit stronger so she could take that mountain biking skill to the next level. And so she worked out with me for a long time, and then she got her husband to work out with me, which is, a lot of fun to have that dynamic there in the gym. So it's been a couple years, and then I finally convinced her to do a little bit of trail running. And then she did some trail running. She's really good at it.
Yes.
I'd say so. But I don't think she's ever really hit her true potential. And then came down with, she got pregnant, which kind of set you back.
She came down with pregnancy,
Yeah, came down with
ladies
pregnancy. Yeah.
Be careful out there. It's contagious.
Yeah, if you don't know how that happens, you might need to check into that real quick.
Shoot us an email. We'll send you some links.
And then, she ran into some health problems. So I think today what we're going to do is, we'll get to know her a little bit, go over a little bit of that history, and then kind of explore those hurdles that she's run into. So with us today is Kelsy Bingham. Kelsy, thank you very much for coming on to the Trail Manners Podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Right on.
I just heard the excitement oozing out.
Yeah.
I am. You guys are two awesome guys, and I love listening to the podcast, so I really am excited to be
That's
here.
great. Well, we appreciate you listening, and we appreciate you being here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start into it. I want to know a little bit more because I've talked to your husband and mountain biking, right? And that was something you and I didn't know this because I didn't follow it, but then I looked into it after I talked to Brandon. You did well.
She was all right.
Yeah.
She's all right.
Well, when she hit the gym, I think she's probably started to peak, right?
No, she was a lot better. She was really good before she hit the gym, but I say that jokingly. She was really, really good.
So tell us how you got into the mountain biking scene and kind of where you went with that.
Sure, yeah. So I decided to start riding a bike when my brother-in-law, Brandon's brother, actually introduced it to me. So after college basketball, I didn't really know where to go.
Right, which is another thing that we haven't even talked about.
We forgot
right?
all about that one, right?
you were a collegiate basketball player at the University of Utah.
Yeah, that was good times. That was a good time. It seems like a long time ago now, but
right.
I mean, basketball was my life from childhood until college, and so when that ended, I didn't really know where to go. And I ran a little bit in college, but nothing like big, no races or anything like that. And then Chris, my brother-in-law, said, "Well, why don't you try riding a bike?" I thought, okay, that sounds like an okay idea. So I got a mountain bike and entered my first race and took second place, and I was hooked because I got beat like right at the finish line, and I am one of the most competitive people on this planet, I'm pretty certain. And so when I got beat at the finish line, I was like, okay, that's it. When's the next race? Because I need to sign up today, and I'm going to beat that girl.
And you started training that night.
Yeah, so I was hooked from like the get-go. Plus, I mean, growing up in Utah, you learn to love the mountains, and what's better than spending time on the trails and, you know, on a bike. I thought that was a good route to go. So I got into it, and before I knew it, we were racing every weekend, traveling around, and then I decided, well, what the heck? Let's really try to go for it. And I started training a lot more, and fortunately I had a lot of good friends here in Ogden who were also mountain bikers, and I didn't realize that I was progressing because I was riding with the guys locally here, and we have some really good local mountain bikers, and before I knew it, I was just riding with the guys and was getting faster and faster. And then the year I got accepted into PA school was actually the year I got my pro mountain bike license, so it was a super crazy year.
Wow.
And then who picked you up that year? Was that Jameis that picked you up?
Yeah, it was actually the following year, so I was riding for Roosters.
Right.
You know,
so that was Roosters Biker's Edge
yeah,
at the
so
time.
Brandon and Chris, my brother-in-law, decided to start a mountain bike team. We thought it would just be kind of a local thing, and then the year after I won the Category 1 national championship, then I got my pro license, and that's when Jameis picked me up. So
right.
Then I did that for a couple years, and it was super fun, but then I got to a point where it seemed like a job, you know. And
right.
And I had a lot of fun times riding my bike, but I'll never race at that level again. It's really hard to maintain that and have a family and work full time. And so I think that's why trail running is such a fun thing, you know. You can do it with your friends, and you can go for a run and be training without having like a set agenda.
Right.
That's why I like trail running. So
did you have a pretty structured routine as far as what you would do? Because I know in like the running aspect of things, it's like, oh, I've got a coach and I've got to do this. Is that kind of how your biking side went too?
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. It went from just riding with my friends, enjoying it, to, you know, you win a few races, and then people start telling you, oh, you got to get a coach, you got to do this, and that's exactly the route I went. By the time I had a coach and had such structured training plans, nobody wanted to ride with you. Nobody wants to go do hill intervals. Nobody wants to do speed work. So I found out that I was riding my bike by myself all the time, and that's why when it became not, you know, like a job, it wasn't fun. So
kind of took the reason why you originally got into it out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And you say you're competitive, and I could absolutely understand that. I mean, playing collegiately, University of Utah women's basketball team, I mean, that's D1, that's the big time, it is. And then you jump into the mountain bike stuff. Did the competitiveness, because it can go one of two ways. It can drive you, but it can also have that other flip side where it kind of, I don't want to say it changes you, but it kind of makes it not enjoyable.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly when that flip happened for me, but it definitely got to that point. I mean, it drove me big time until, you know, you're racing with the pro women, and that's their job, is to win mountain bike races. And so I guess that's when it kind of flipped for me. Then, you know, when you're not winning anymore and you're racing against women who get paid to ride their bike, and you have to have your day job and then train after work and on the weekends, and you show up to these big, huge races and you take 25th place and 50th place, it's not as fun anymore.
I would like to place that high.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, well, when you take like 20th out of 25, it's not awesome. So
that's just in the pro category. That's not overall.
Right, yeah. Right. So, but I mean, I still love riding my bike. Brandon and I still go ride a lot. We still have a lot of friends who ride, but I'll never race my bike again. I don't think. Anyway,
not at that level.
Not at that level. No way. No
Maybe
way.
do a fun cyclocross type of race.
Yeah, cyclocross is always in my heart. I love that. So I'm sure I'll jump into a cyclocross race here and there at some point. But
right,
that's picking up a lot more locally too.
Yeah, we have a really cool cyclocross scene here. So, and it gets bigger and bigger every year for sure.
Right. Well, we've got such awesome bike parks, you know, near the mountains and the trails, obviously, and it's just we have these new companies coming in the bike industry. You know,
it's
just
huge in Ogden.
It really is. A tour of Utah comes through here. You see a lot of cyclists, and just period.
Right. Yeah. So let's fast forward then. So you kind of get to that end of your cycling career. I'm kind of on your case about come run because it's different. It's fun. There's not as much stress.
Yep.
You start running, and you're getting good at it, right? Because, I mean, we got a lot of really good female runners up here in the Ogden area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And what was your first trail race?
It was the
Do you
Buffalo
remember?
Run. Absolutely.
25K?
25K, yeah.
Yes.
And that was the longest I had ever run in my entire life. So I was really nervous for that race, but I was really excited too. I mean, I had run a lot with the Hummers that winter, but I had never actually run farther than about 13 miles because I had done the Ogden half marathon a couple of times, but I'd never run more than about 10 miles on the trail. So that was really fun. And
So what was your overall impression after you finished that race?
once again, I thought, dang, I'm hooked on something else. Now here we go again.
Right.
But I mean, once again, I think, you learn from every experience. And after going through college basketball and then cycling at a professional level, I actually was able to kind of take a step back and think, okay, this is really something that I love to do. And this is something that I could do for years and years and years. So let's just take it a little slower and let's not jump into, crazy training schedules and getting a coach. And so I don't know if that was just my competitive side maybe relaxing a little bit or just the coming with experience and maturity or what.
Maturity. Yeah, that sounds a lot like that. Because I think everybody sitting at this table, we all have that competitive edge at one point. I mean, Joel, myself, soccer backgrounds and different things. You get competitive, and you never train. Like, I remember this, soccer. You never train for second place.
No.
Right.
You never train to finish second. So you always train to be the best. And then you get into a sport, cycling and running, there can only be one first place.
Yeah.
And when you've got hundreds to thousands of runners, it gets that much more difficult. So your mindset has to change, right? And if it doesn't, then either A, you're not going to enjoy it, B, you're going to burn out, or C, you're just going to leave the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or all the above.
Yeah.
So you finished the Buffalo Run. And then what was next? Was that Zion that you did next, or was that the following year?
No, I guess that was the same year.
Right.
Yeah, that was the same year.
So that was the year I went down with you and Brandon.
Yeah.
So we went down to Zion. This was second or third year of the Zion races. And what was really funny, I remember this really specifically, we were going down there, and we were trying to meet up with some people for dinner. And we go and we find this place, and it was really good food. And we're ordering food. And the food that we ordered, Kelsey was just, you see the look on her face. Because, we're just ordering like regular old food, like green chili hamburgers and
Regular old food.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Just the night before the race.
Yeah, just the night before the race, which, obviously it's a mistake. But, that's what's kind of cool about the trail running community is we weren't like totally freaking out.
Because you're used to crap in your pants.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember Kelsey going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys are eating this before the night of the race." She goes, cyclists, they would be, totally stressing out over this. And it was really funny to watch you.
Yeah, we would travel when I was racing with Jameis, we'd have a team house and everybody is so crazy about their diets and what they will eat, what they can't eat. Oh, I can't eat gluten. Well, I'm vegetarian, so we'd get this team house, but everybody would have to cook their own meals because everybody was so freaked out about what they were eating. And I remember like, okay, that's cool. We're going to go out and have dinner before the race. And people are just like ordering beer. And I just remember Brandon looking at me and going, we're never going to be in the bike scene again.
That's
this
right.
ultra running thing is where it's at. These people are just like having fun. Like laughing.
And we went back to the hotel room, and I had like another beer, and Kelsey's like all like getting serious for race, right? And I'm just totally chill. I paid for it the next day because that green chili hamburger just wrecked me.
We've had that on the show before.
Yeah,
too.
right. That thing just destroyed me. But anyways, it was really funny to watch her like introduction into the ultra running scene.
Gets away from the dehydrated apples and
Yeah.
the powdered, goat horn with the mix of,
horn.
Exactly.
right? Something special to, we'll have whatever. What's your best here? What do you got here?
Yeah. But, it was fun to watch you race that day. I didn't actually get to watch you race, but to see your enjoyment of it because you did quite well.
I did. I surprised myself a little bit. Once again, I didn't know what to expect after about the 20-mile mark. I was just kind of thinking, well, we'll just wing it.
See what happens.
Here we go, But I don't know. There's still that competitive nature no matter what, whether you're going for the win or just going for the finish,
Right.
And it was fun because there were a lot of Hummers at that race, and I came across a lot of them on the trail.
Right.
And everybody was just really, good job. You keep going. You're doing awesome. And that was definitely a huge help. And I just remember, so the only real races I had done had been road running races, and you don't have to worry about, wet feet or anything like that. And I remember 2 miles in, we had to cross a stream.
Cross that creek.
I was a little bit freaked out. So
Right.
I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to run with wet feet for the next how many miles? This is not going to go well. And Britta Trepp was running that race, and she was right in front of me, and she just busted through the stream like it wasn't even there. And I was
That's what you front runners do.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Britta's going. I guess I'm gonna go too. And that's a really fun race for sure. That course is fun, and that was just a really good experience, I think, and that's probably why I'll continue to run and race ultras, because it's just that scene is just so fun, from the start to the finish. It's just everybody's super supportive of each other. Nobody cares what place you're taking. It's just that camaraderie out there on the trail, just getting through it together is just unlike any sport out there.
It's funny you bring up the wet feet thing, because I'm exactly the same. I hate
yeah.
wet feet. I probably ran. Scott Jaime got me into trail running, and I would avoid getting my feet wet at all costs, right? If it was sprinkling outside, I was a weather weenie. I'm like, nah, I'm going to get my toes.
I hate wet socks,
right?
Yes.
Getting the garbage bags out and covering
And I
those
would be at races. I can't remember the race it was. It might have been this one they have in Salt Lake. No, it's it'll come to me. And you have to go through this creek.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. This is not an exaggeration. It took me, I would guarantee, 5 to 10 minutes to figure a way across this creek. And people are going through it and going, and I'm just sitting there going, how do I get by? And I'm looking for logs. I'm looking for, is there a jumbo lily pad? and then until you do it, and you're like, I guess it's not too bad. It's part of it. So that cracks me up.
Yeah.
So then you getting into the racing and the racing scene.
Mm-hmm.
You did Zion. What was kind of your mindset after that? Because it was farther than you'd gone before. So you have that whole concept of, hey, I pushed my limit a little bit. I'm on my feet going that distance. You had a great time with the people.
Mm-hmm.
What did you go away thinking of that race?
Well, that race, the change in the scenery with the parts that you have to run and the parts that you have to hike, and I just really liked that. So I thought, okay, well, what's next? And if I can do 50K, can I do 50 miles? What can I do? And constantly every time I go to the gym, you have Joel chirping at you like, well, so when you signing up for the Bear 100, when you signing up for,
much.
So there was always that, fueling that fire too. So just like I got hooked with mountain biking, I was hooked with ultra running, and what's the next distance, and how far can you really go, and how fast can you do the next 50K.
But you never got a chance to do that.
No, unfortunately, I signed up for several other races, and then shortly thereafter, got pregnant.
Contracted pregnancy.
I was diagnosed with pregnancy.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but
contagious disease.
That wasn't a surprise by any means. Brandon and I were hopefully, we were hopeful to become pregnant. It just, once again, just like with mountain biking, I was really excited, and things were taking off with mountain biking right at the time I got accepted into PA school. Kind of the same thing with trail running. It's just that's the way the timing worked out. Now we have an awesome little girl, and so it's totally worth it.
Oh, for sure.
So you have Quinn, your little girl, and then you're kind of getting to the point where I'm going to start running again.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of a rough re-entry back in the running, right?
Yes, wow.
Right, I think that happens to a lot of new mothers.
I'd say moms, not the dads.
Well, definitely not the dads.
Different type, yeah.
Yeah, the dads have a different type of stress, but the moms have, they bear the brunt of it. So you get back in, easing back into it. And then I remember this really specifically because this was last summer.
Mm-hmm.
You were in the gym, and you were working out and trying to get into the swing of things. And then you kept kind of, not complaining, but kind of mentioning you had these headaches.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, one day after the gym, I was driving home, and something just wasn't right. And like, my vision was off or something wasn't right. So I stopped at a light, and the light turned red. I stopped, and I just pulled down the mirror, and I looked at my eyes, and I noticed that my pupils, one was super big and one was really tiny. And I thought, okay, what's happening here?
Right.
And fortunately or unfortunately, I guess it depends on how you look at it, I knew something was wrong just because of my medical background. And so I drove home and tried to stay calm, and as soon as I got home, I asked Brandon to look at my eyes, and he was taken aback, and so it scared me even more because he has absolutely no medical background, and he knew
Right.
something was wrong. So that was in the back of my mind. I knew something was up. It still took a couple weeks before I could bring myself to go to the doctor.
Right, because you kept on training in the gym, and the same complaints, oh, I've got a headache.
Mm-hmm.
And at first you're like, maybe it's a sinus infection.
Yeah. So I thought I had kind of had this sinus infection that was off and on all summer, and we really noticed it when we'd go up in elevation to go camping or something like that. I was super sensitive. My ears would get really painful, and but it was never really like anything that was alarming until I started having the pupil issues. And then that's when we kind of knew. And finally, Brandon had been on me about going to get it checked. Because every time I'd come home from a run or from the gym, I would have symptoms. And then when I wasn't working out, I was totally fine. So, so finally I went and got the MRI, and that's when I found out my life was going to be forever changed.
And it wasn't like, oh, you're going to wait a couple of days to get your results. The radiologist called you.
Yeah, so I left. I first had a CT scan, and I got home, and about 15 minutes later, my phone rang, and it was the radiology department at the hospital. I thought, well, that's weird. And they said, so you just finished with this scan. You need to come back. And I thought, okay, so what's going on? And then the nurse said, well, I don't know exactly what's going on, but they need you to come back for more scans. And my heart sunk because I knew something was wrong. And she said, I don't know exactly what's happening, but the radiologist saw something.
Right.
So I hustle back to the hospital and have more scans. And by this time, I'm scared out of my mind. And I just said to the nurse, I said, listen, I work here. I'm a PA. I know something's wrong. Can you please just find out some more information? And she's like, well, I know they saw something. We don't know what it is. And a couple days later, found out you got a tumor. And and technology, medical technology, I actually didn't get a call from anybody. You know, the hospital here has the online medical records. And so I was checking it obsessively, and so the results, I read the results online before talking to any physician or knowing what the true meaning of the findings were, except for the fact that it said tumor in there. And,
right.
You know, as soon as you see the word tumor, like that's all you can focus. Everything else just is meaningless. And I didn't even really know where the tumor was or what it meant. I just knew that I had a tumor. And so it was a few days before we actually found out, you know, what exactly this meant. So, but yeah, then, you know, I ended up with a lot more tests and a lot more MRIs and everything, and surgery to have a biopsy, and it was kind of a dramatic road to find out what kind of cancer it was and what my prognosis was. So what kind of
cancer was it then?
So I have it's a reasonably rare type of cancer.
Reasonably rare?
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's lung cancer and breast cancer and prostate, like all these cancers that everybody knows about
and hears about.
Yeah. But I have, it's called adenoid cystic carcinoma, which stems from salivary glands.
Right.
And it's so not a lot of people, have this type of cancer. I mean, I didn't really have any other risk factors to get it. But apparently one of the tiny little salivary glands in the back of my throat decided to go haywire, and I had probably had this tumor for several years before it was actually found. And most of these physicians that I saw throughout deciding where to have treatment, everybody kept saying, now, how did you know that you had something wrong? Like, everybody was really surprised because the tumor was so small, but the location of it is so compact. I mean, it's essentially at the base of my skull, right next to my optic nerve, right next to my carotid arteries. So there's not a lot of room for something even small to be there. And but people, kept saying, we're so surprised that you discovered this. Like, what were your symptoms? And so, when I would tell people, oh, I noticed that my pupils were uneven, a lot of the doctors were like, well, why did you even think that was abnormal to begin with? So I guess it was a blessing in disguise that I had some medical treatment or medical background. I mean, so yeah, it's been a long road to get where I am today. The last 6 months has been, it feels like 6 years.
Right.
So
I know when you first got diagnosed, it was so topsy-turvy. The diagnosis wasn't just on point just yet. You got some information that wasn't accurate, and it was really just emotional, just from the outside looking in. And, everybody just felt terrible because everybody wanted to do something, right?
Yeah.
And they're really, the only thing you do is just hurry up and wait. So you guys are trying to decide at that point what the treatment option is going to be. And you thought you had something kind of dialed in here, but then you're like, well, let's take this to the next level, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, even though we have a really good cancer treatment at Huntsman, they don't see a lot of this type of cancer. And so there's not a lot of guidelines as far as treatment is concerned. And so, they basically just said, yeah, we can offer you some radiation and some chemo, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. And so I went for a second opinion, and all the doctors and surgeons that I met with just basically said, yeah, we can't guarantee you much. But if I were in your shoes, I would go to MD Anderson.
And where's that at?
And that's down in Houston. And so I thought, well, if that's where they would go, then I guess that's where I'm going to go.
Right.
So oddly enough, my stepdad is from Houston and has a lot of connections down there. And so we used those connections, and I got an appointment down there. And the feel at that hospital, just because it's such a world-renowned cancer center, the feel at that place when you walk in is pretty incredible. And from the second I set foot in there, I knew I've got to make this work somehow. This is where I have to come for treatment. And when I walked in there, they told me that they had just published a study about this specific type of cancer, similar to mine, where it was non-operable, and that they were getting these really good outcomes. And so I thought, well, this is where I'm coming. And so, it was tough. I had to move down there for essentially 2 months, and I was fortunate enough to have my mom come with me to help take care of Quinn. But I know it was tough. Brandon was trying to come back and forth and work and try and keep our house here, but yet still be a part of the treatment down there. And it was right around Christmas and Quinn turning 1, and so it was a super stressful time just in life anyway, and then to have the cancer part of it and then being away from home. But now today I'd never regret that decision. I think that was the absolute best place for us to be. So once you decided that you were going to go to MD, so how much time was that between that decision and actually going down there? So I found out that I had a tumor the day before my birthday, October 17th.
Right.
And then I had my biopsy and knew exactly what type of cancer it was the first week of November.
Right.
And then I started treatment at MDA the first week of December. So it really wasn't all that long. I mean, I had time to get multiple different opinions and make a decision as to where I was going to go. And so it really wasn't that long. I mean, it seemed like forever then because all I could think of was, what is this tumor? Get it out of me. Let my life just be back to normal.
Right.
But in hindsight, it really was just, from the day I was diagnosed or found out I had a tumor to the day I started treatment was less than 2 months.
Right.
So.
Okay, so fast forward, you guys you get a place to stay. You know, you've got relative support down there. You go. What was your treatment like? So what was your typical week like down there?
It was like a horrible form of torture. So I went down there and they fitted me for my radiation mask.
We'll go ahead and post a picture of this radiation mask.
We've got plenty of pictures because it is a torture crazy. Device.
Yep.
Yeah. So they heated up this plastic mesh essentially and formed it to my face.
Yep.
And it went completely over my head, down around my shoulders, so that I literally could not move a millimeter, so that the radiation could be super precise because my brain stem is right next to my tumor. And
that's
so
kind of important.
Yeah. So the main reason for choosing MD Anderson was to have proton therapy versus traditional radiation therapy, which the doctors did a really good job of describing radiation as like a gunshot wound. So you have an entry point, you have kind of all the scatter, and then the exit point, and everything in its path is destroyed. Well, proton therapy narrows down that scatter essentially so that the surrounding tissues are less affected and the tumor is really the only thing affected. So they really, really want the radiation to be super precise, because if you miss, then the tumor's not getting any of the treatment.
Right.
So they get this plastic mesh and they essentially mold it to you, and then it becomes super hard. And every day when I go in for radiation, I lay on this nice hard table and they click this mask and it connects into the table. So I'm essentially stuck in place. So I had 33 treatments of radiation. So 5 days a week, I would go lay under this radiation for about 15 minutes. And 15 minutes is not a long time. But when you're stuck to a table and you literally cannot move, it's forever. Like an eternity. Plus, I had to wear a mouthpiece to help protect my teeth and my mouth and my tongue from this radiation. So you put this mouthpiece in, and then the mouthpiece connects into the plastic face mask. So you can't speak, you can't turn your head, you can't even like itch like your nose or anything. So I was doing that 5 days a week, and then I was getting chemotherapy intravenously once a week, and that was anywhere, depending on if they were on time or not, it was anywhere from about 4 hours to about 8 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Hooked to, IVs, just basically sitting in a hospital room watching daytime TV, which is awesome.
Awesome to begin, yeah. That's another form of torture.
Yeah, so, there were days where I was super nauseated, and then they say, okay, well, now stick this thing in your mouth and put this mask on. And
right.
If you get really nauseated and you have to throw up, just raise your feet or something to signal, And so it was quite anxiety-provoking, but just like anything, you get used to it. But I just remember walking out of that first radiation therapy going, okay, 1 down, 32 to go. Like, this is horrible. It was really just... if you ever want to test your mental toughness, just have some head and neck radiation therapy, and there you go.
One thing from the outside, kind of seeing in on this, social media and everything, this was a big deal up here.
Mm-hmm.
There is some communities up here.
Yeah.
And the support that I saw, because I know in Brandon and, through that chain was pretty huge, right?
It was unbelievable. The support that we got from our family, our friends, and it's crazy. Like, you think, we have a pretty good group of friends, but until you're really faced with something like this, it's incredible. The people that would reach out to us, and people were so generous. What can we do to help? We had people offering us money, offering us sky miles to travel back and forth. Just if you ever need help with your dog or your daughter or your house, or people were willing to help with just crazy things. And in the beginning, we were, no, we'll get through it, we're fine. And then you hit a point where you're just like, yeah, we'll take just about any help we can get, because it's the smallest things. I mean, poor Brandon was up here trying to run our life by himself, and then I'm down there relying on my mom every day. And so the support from just our jobs, our friends, it was just really crazy and amazing. So
I was literally overwhelmed by seeing so much that I saw, because I mean, there was people, we live in it's a large community, but it is pretty small.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to see everybody's, updates and, things like that. I mean, there were times that we were looking forward to those updates. You know, like, how are things going? I mean, I ran with Joel a lot, and of course, Brandon works out there. So me and Joel, it's like, all right, I've heard how things are going.
Right.
And, you don't want to pry. It's a private matter, so it's difficult that way, but you want to know.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm just sitting here just blown away. I'm not even kidding you. I'm rarely speechless, but that's kind of how I am with this situation.
Yeah, it was, and from my end too, like, I feel like I'm a relatively private person, but I had so many people reach out, and not even just emotional support, even that people offered. I felt like I needed to reciprocate that a little bit, and I felt like the way to reciprocate that was to tell them how I was doing. And so it was really nice. I mean, social media, Facebook, I tried to do some updates there, and then fortunately I had some of the medical assistants at my office where I work who did a GoFundMe page, and they did their updates. And so, I mean, it was really nice because, I had a lot of people say, hey, they'd send me a text or something, say, you don't need to respond, but I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you. And I felt bad because my phone would just be beeping and dinging all day long, and I just, there's no way you can answer all those. And so it was actually kind of nice to just say, okay, let's just do a Facebook post today. And truly, like, it was really nice to see how many people would respond. And just, even if somebody just said, that's so cool, good for you, like, it really did help, and so there's no way that we would have made it through everything without all the support from people. It really was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just thinking of everything you're going through. I mean, anybody could put this in their life, but I mean, you think about, like you said, 1-year-old child, away from home. It's not like you were down in Salt Lake where you drive 30, 40 minutes. I mean, this is a long ways away. And so, like you said, I mean, everything you were going through, the support you got, I mean, there's just a mix of emotions. And so even if you're not close to this, I mean, you have to feel that. I mean, everybody knows somebody that's gone through something difficult, but then you pile on these other aspects. Like I said, the distance, I was like, holy cow, Houston. That's not like, hey, I'll be back in a little bit. I'm taking a lunch break.
It's a 6-hour flight, right?
And that's a flight. That's not a drive. That's not cheap or necessarily even convenient. So I don't know. It's pretty overwhelming, and I was really excited when Joel mentioned that you were willing to come and share your story, because there's still a lot of things I was curious with, and I think a lot of that answered. And we even saw a picture when Brandon, I think, was driving back from Houston with the mask in his car.
The mask in the back seat, scaring everybody behind him.
But as funny as that was, it was like relieving. It's like, oh, then that part's done.
Right.
Right? That part, because you do it every day. We get updates once a week, whatever. So this is just too much for me to fathom, really.
So you got through your treatment successfully. You pack up, you leave Houston. Brandon packs everything up. He's driving back to Ogden with the mask in the back of the car, scaring everybody half to death that's behind him. Right? So now you're back home, right? How was that feeling when you first came back? Was it a little foreign, or did you just get right back to it?
No, I was so excited to come home and just sleep in my own bed and see my dog and, see my friends, that it didn't seem foreign, but it was a bit overwhelming. I mean, when I moved to Houston, the only thing I could think of was just get to treatment number 33,
Right.
And then you get to treatment 30 and 31, and you start thinking, okay, we're getting to the end, and there's that excitement. And there's a gong at the treatment center, and when you finish your last treatment, you hit the gong, and it's a big deal. And because you're going 5 days a week, you start seeing the exact same people, and you start talking to them and their families, and you develop kind of these friendships with these people. And when somebody, you'd hear them out there and hit the gong, it was like a celebration. And most days there was somebody finishing their treatment. And so it was just like, you wanted to be happy for them, but inside you were thinking like, damn, why isn't that me? I just can't wait for that to be my day. And when I hit that gong, I was so excited. And then it was just like, okay, that's it. Like, I'm at the finish line. Now what,
Right.
But going home was a really good feeling. But I was still feeling the effects of the radiation big time. So it was a very short celebration.
Right.
And then it was the reality of like, I can't eat anything. It hurts to drink water.
Well, your throat was all blistered, right?
Big time, yeah. And
So when you didn't really have that problem. Did you have that problem in Houston, or was that something that manifested itself when you got here?
yeah, so it's a cumulative effect of the radiation. So the first couple of weeks, I was just like, well, this is
You're like,
cake.
whatever,
Like, what's
this is easy, right?
what's the problem? Like, yeah, it sucks wearing that mask for 15 minutes a day, but what's the big deal? And then it started where I was getting a lot of dry mouth and not being able to taste foods, but no big deal. And then like the last week of treatment is really when it hit me. Like, this isn't getting uncomfortable. And, they were trying to ask me if I need pain medicine. And I'm thinking like, oh, no. And then I got home and thought, oh man, this is what they've been warning me about. I was literally like forcing myself to drink water. It hurt so bad. I just had sores in my mouth, down my throat. I was living off of coconut ice cream mixed with Ensure, and it was literally a task to get it down every day. And that lasted for a couple of weeks, and then, it started getting better. But yeah, the whole time before I started treatment, they told me if you lose a certain amount of weight, we're going to stick a feeding tube down you, and then you're going to have to be here for like a month longer after treatment. And every day when I was nauseated or didn't feel like eating, I was like, remember
Not
that feeding
back
tube.
in.
So, yeah, coming home was, it was hard because I didn't have that security blanket of the physicians. I was seeing my radiation oncologist and my medical oncologist every week. And so if something were, to go wrong down there, no big deal. You've got people at your beck and call. But when I came home, it was a different story. So that was a bit nerve-wracking. But, I was just so happy to be home that it didn't really matter.
So how long have you been home now?
I came home February 4th.
Right.
So I've...
Not even 2 months.
Yeah. So...
Coming up on it.
That first month was like a blur, though.
Mm-hmm.
So...
You just weren't feeling that good.
Yeah.
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 So you just recently started to run a little bit. That's the rumor.
Word
a
on the street.
little bit is like key here.
Right. And then she's being honest for once. So you're kind of riding your bike here and there. I've heard that rumor too. That you might be trying to ramp things up in true Kelsey fashion. There's never been halfway with you. And so you start running again, and then you get this text from some guy that owns a gym saying, "Hey,
Jackass.
when are you going to sign up for your next race?"
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I got that text, I at first was like, wait, did I just read that correctly? And then I kind of chuckled to myself like, well, of course Joel would be sending me this text. But then sadly, it actually got the wheels turning a little bit like, yeah, when can I actually race? Like, I ran/walked a couple miles the other day. I could totally race. But in reality, it's going to take me a long time to get back there. But don't get me wrong, I'm itching big time. So
yeah, and I think the reason I sent you that message was to put that carrot out there for you, because as long as you're free and clear of the cancer, which you go back for a checkup here soon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then as long as you're free and clear and you don't have any more effects of the radiation, I'm fully confident that you can get back to at least maybe you never get back to that level you were once, but you can get back to that point where you still love it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key for me. I have realistic expectations. I don't expect to be, a competitive runner, cyclist, or anything athletic ever again, but just getting back to that point where just you can't get enough of it,
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm going to go down for this checkup in a couple of weeks, and as long as everything's going as planned, And I'm going to get back at it. It's good timing with the weather getting warm again.
Right.
And, it was kind of fun. The Buffalo race was this past weekend because you get all that excitement of the first race of the season. People getting excited. For most people, that was the first race of the season anyway. And, it gets the bug out again, so slowly but surely I will definitely get back there.
So how often do you have to go down to Houston and get checked up?
This first year and a half or so, it's about every 3 months.
Right.
So this first trip down, I'll have another repeat MRI, but the big visit is going to be this summer, July-ish. When I go down, I'll have a PET scan, and that's the money visit.
Right.
So this one is more just a follow-up to see that I'm recovering from the radiation. I don't think it's going to give us all that much information as far as how the tumor is doing.
Sure.
But the PET scan this summer that's where it's at. But I mean, my situation is my situation. I mean, I'm gonna run no matter if the tumor's there or not. I mean, as long as I feel good, I'm gonna run. If I live my life wondering what that tumor's doing every day, then
it's gonna ruin you.
Yeah.
Pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, kind of listening to the whole story and kind of going back to the very beginning of the show is kind of that mental competitiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've been, in a roundabout way, and excuse the verbiage, you prepared for this, though. I mean, mentally, you have to be in the right mindset to go through something like this.
I completely agree. I mean, I've been in a lot of athletic situations that have been high stress, Sweet 16 and at college. I've done the Leadville 100 on my bike where that's a stressful situation. I mean, anytime that you're putting your body in a situation where you have to push beyond what you think you're able to do, that builds your mental toughness. And I have a cycling friend named Jen Hanks, and she's a professional cyclist, local girl from Salt Lake, and I actually looked to her a little bit. She's had breast cancer twice, and yet she still competes at a professional level. And so when she found I had cancer, she, reached out a little bit. I reached out to her as well and just said, help me out here from an emotional standpoint. And that's exactly what she told me. She said, your athletic endeavors will have prepared you more for this than you know. And she was right. I mean, there were times when I was preparing to go to radiation and just thinking like, I don't want to do it. Like, I'm skipping today. I don't care. I'm not doing it. And then just no, I could tell myself, no, you're going to do it and you're going to make it through it and you're going to be fine. And there were plenty of times on the radiation table where I was thinking to myself, like, I'm going to lose it. Like, I need to sit up. And I could kind of just get inside my own head and just, okay, calm down. You're okay. Just breathe, and I don't think I would have been able to do that had I not had the athletic background that I have.
There's some experience of that, just that mindset. I mean, there's no way you can compare one to the other for sure. I mean,
right,
it's just
sure.
that different, but, there's all different types of people out there and experiences. But, I mean, what you went through and what you're going through, I would honestly like to say I could handle it as well as you. I really would. And I honestly don't think I could. But hearing you talk, seeing you talk, even before the show, we were sitting here kind of just having a conversation. There's no way anybody could look and say, oh, she's gone through something difficult. And I have my times, don't get me wrong. I've shed many a tear throughout this experience and, said, why me? And it's not fair. I mean, I think that's a normal response whenever you're going through something like that. But, I don't know. It's just, I just feel like it happened. I mean, it is what it is, and you have to push through it to get to the other side. If you let it eat at you, well, then it's going to get you. And that's with anything in life. But, I just, it happened, it's happening, and it's really out of my hands. It's going to go about the way it's going to go about. And it's about your attitude getting through it, I guess. And the support, I mean, we mentioned that before.
I have definitely relied on my support to get through it, and luckily I have a lot of it. So, you know, on those days when I'm questioning whether or not I can go through it, you know, all I have to do is turn to Brandon or my mom or some of my friends, and they make sure that you get your head straight and and push through it. So
That's pretty cool.
It's amazing. I mean,
It's inspiring, right?
It's more than inspiring, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, just your overall mindset going forward of appreciation for things, and I mean, that's had to have just completely, and not that people don't, but I mean, that has to take a whole new meaning, right?
absolutely. And, you know, people think, oh, that's taboo, but it's not. I mean, you really do look at things differently. I mean, you know, being in the medical field, seen patients of mine, you know, go through something difficult and think, oh, you know, yeah, their outlook on things, it must be different now. But until I was put in this situation, you really do. You know, it was odd because we just took our daughter skiing for the first time the other day, and we were up at Snow Basin on this beautiful sunny day with my mom and Brandon and Quinn and some good friends of ours. And when we left, I thought, that was one of the best days of my life.
There
and
you go.
it was just a simple day skiing, you know, but we were surrounded by really great people doing something we love. The weather was amazing. Like, that's what life is about, you know, sharing those moments with really cool people. And a year ago, I would have never said that was the best day of my life. I would have just thought it was just another day on the ski hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting the way you appreciate things. And you know, there's a lot of things that we're looking forward to doing this summer, you know, just even simple camping trips or, you know, little vacations with our little family that I'm just really excited thinking, you know, these are the memories that I want to make. These are the things that I want my daughter to experience. And yeah, they're super important. So
That's awesome. And you think it's tough, then you need to look at the mask, right? That's tough. That's the real deal, right?
yeah. So on my very last day of radiation, they said, do you want to keep that or do you want us to toss it? And I said, hell yeah, I want to keep that thing. I'm keeping that thing for the days that I feel sorry for myself.
Yeah.
And on those days, you just take a little gander at that and think that day was
Should
tough.
frame
Those
it and
were
put it
tough.
on the wall.
I know. I had a
Right?
friend tell me, why don't you take a shotgun to that thing 33 times, one for every radiation therapy that you had? And I said, no, that's going to stay down in our little room where, you know, where I have my race bibs hanging
Yep.
from all the, you know, mountain bike races and running races that I've done. I mean, that is an accomplishment far and above any of those race bibs
That's
that
like
I have
an
up there.
endurance compliment, right?
Absolutely. I
Right.
mean, that I have this little room downstairs in our basement that has a trainer set up down there with my, you know, a bike trainer, and we keep all of our ski and bike stuff and everything down. It's just kind of a fun little playroom, and it really is. It's that mask is sitting down there with all of, you know, the
It's an accomplishment.
medals and stuff that I have from.
Motivation,
Yeah,
it's a life
absolutely,
experience.
absolutely.
Wow, sheesh, I'm gonna have a hard time not getting up early to go running tomorrow. I'm not. I mean, I don't mean that as a joke by any means. I'm just saying this is. I don't know. It's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to talk to you about this and
thanks.
to know you, because these are the things that change your life. Not just you, but people around you. You know, you look at you and you're like, you're one of the toughest people I know, and I mean that. You know, I have a lot of tough people too. I mean, I got Joel next to me. He's tough, right?
Not
right.
as tough as her.
All 5'7" of him, from what I hear.
That's Right. You
On
hear
a
that,
good
folks?
day, on
a good day.
5'7" on a good day.
That's when he wakes up and everything's stretched out.
That's
Not at
right.
the end of the day.
Yeah, if I go to space, it'd be 5'9".
But I mean, just knowing Brandon and just there's so many things that obviously we would never get into or hear about, and you would even think about, but all the little things that go into what just transpired over the last however many months.
Yeah.
And to see you happy, you know, I mean, you're getting back to it.
Yeah.
And you may not, like Joel mentioned, you may not get to the level, but you're at a level, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to experience these things and that camaraderie. I mean, you have the camaraderie in Houston.
Yep.
You have the group where you're up here with your friends and your family. I mean, it's just, Joel Nell, it's inspiring. You know,
Well, thank
it's
you.
inspiring.
I can't wait till you're back in the gym so I can harass you.
You know,
That's what
I
I'm
know.
really looking forward to
I'm
the
not
most.
gonna lie. When Brandon comes home and he starts, oh man, Joel killed us. It sucked today. I look at him and I say, I don't feel bad for you at all because I want to be there.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
I'm really looking forward to
I'm looking
getting
forward
back
to
to
it.
that. There's no feeling like a good run or a good workout, and just that feeling that you have like, yeah, you know, like it makes you almost proud of like what your body can do, you know, and there's no feeling like that, and I miss it big time. I mean, it's been such a big part of my life, and to not have it for a certain amount of months, I mean, it's been really hard. So I can't wait to get back at it, whether it be running 2 miles or running, you know, 100 miles, whatever. I'm really excited about this summer. Hopefully I can just get back to a spot where maybe, I don't know, whether it be 25K or 50K by the end of the summer, fine. But
I'm hoping that, you know, you get this clean bill of health and then get you out there training again, just enjoying yourself. And then you can do Vaquero Loco 25K. That's kind of like my challenge, right, to you, because I think you're free that weekend. Because that was kind of a
Well, you
problem.
are now.
But no, I'm serious, because at first I was like, oh, you could totally do the Bryce half marathon, which you probably could. But then that's Father's Day weekend, so that got in the way. And then we went through this list of races, and I was like, okay, you can't do this one, you can't do that. I said, all right, you got to do Vaquero Loco.
yeah.
At least 25K. You
We're,
could do
we're,
that.
we're pressuring all of our guests because
Yeah.
we know that Amy Musgrove, who we just had on the show
Yeah.
from the Buffalo, she just signed
She
up.
just signed up.
Jackie King.
She's
better
around here
be
somewhere.
signing up pretty
Yeah,
quick.
Jackie King's my new idol. It's been really cool to watch her become the
that's
runner
kind of
that
flip
she
because,
is.
I mean, she looked up to you for so long, right?
Yeah, Jackie's just such an awesome person, and it's been really fun to kind of
Yeah.
watch her because, I mean, I remember when she first started coming to the gym, and it
Do
she was
you remember
just
the very first time
not-
she came?
I don't know if I remember the first time, but I just remember it's just been really cool to watch her
Right.
just bloom as a person. Her self-confidence has gone from like
Right.
nothing
well, she had
to
that false
amazing.
start at the gym. Do you remember that? So she
Oh,
came
right,
into
right,
the gym, right? Somebody had, I don't know, convinced her, conned or whatever, and she came in and she tried. And this was back when we used to be really, really hard, right?
Yeah.
And I think she just had that moment. She's like, "This is a lot harder than I expected," because she was
Sure.
she was a lacrosse player in college, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of relying on that. You're like, "Oh, I can do anything."
Yeah, I can hang.
And then you come into this gym where there's accountability, and we expect a lot of you. And she just kind of did a month, and then she's disappeared for like
Yeah.
almost a year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then she came back, and she after that 3 month of committing to it, I saw a totally different person.
Yeah.
That was cool to see.
Yeah, one thing I'll remember about Jackie at the gym is one day we were doing box jumps and she had that fall on
Yeah.
the box jumps, and to watch her just come back from that, you know, like it was in her head for a while and she
Yeah.
just really did not want to move up to that next big box. And then when she finally did, you know, kind of get over that barrier, I just feel like she turned into a totally different person, just her confidence, and then that flipped over to the running side,
Yeah.
and same thing. I mean, it's just been really fun. So she's like, I need to get to the point where I can run with Jackie again.
Yeah.
Well, before you guys got here, I watched her carry a keg of root beer up the stairs.
Yeah, and
it
that's
was
not
full,
light.
and that wasn't light, and she
Yeah,
carried it up
she's a
without
tough
a problem.
girl.
Now she might need a little work on her server skills,
Yeah.
you know, but I think she's getting there. I mean, with the
Yeah.
proper training, just like from Bomber or anything
Yeah,
else, I think
that's
she'll
right.
get there. So good luck, Jackie.
Now,
with your server.
now, one thing that I kind of wanted to go back to when we were talking with Jackie last week in our interview, we never talked about the squirrel.
Oh, poor.
So now I'm going to leave that really vague. So if you know Jackie King, you need to ask her the story about the squirrel. I'm going to leave it there.
I'm gonna have to ask
it's
her
a good
for
one.
it.
It's a good
It's
one.
a
You
great
definitely.
story.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jackie King and the squirrel. Ask her next time you see her.
That sounds good to me. So we're gonna wrap it up.
Sounds good.
We've had again. I mean, this is totally our pleasure to talk to you.
Well,
This
thanks. It's been really fun.
This has been an amazing
I think
show.
maybe what we should plan to do is after Vaquero Loco, because there's a whole bunch of us going there.
Yep.
We need to do another series of interviews like we did at the Buffalo, and we'll just expect to interview there.
Yeah, I
After
think
your
that's
first
good.
time getting
All
back on
right.
the horse.
Like we talked about earlier, I've tried to do that race twice before. And
Yep.
hasn't worked out, so third time's a charm. So, yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to do that race, so
What's your login for Ultra Sign Up?
Yeah, I've got the computer right here.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing that information.
Come on now.
No, I think that would be a really fun kind of comeback race.
I do
Well, it's
too.
gonna be, and if you, just in general, El Vaquero's kind of that party, fun, hometown atmosphere. Ty Draney puts on the
You guys
best
can-
race.
And tow your trailer up there, spend the night in the trailer.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
with all the people going up, it's going to be, you know what? El Vaquero Loco this year is a race you just don't want to miss.
No,
it's
not
not
really.
a matter of wanting to to go. It's one that if you miss it, you're going to, gosh,
You're going to
Kick
miss
yourself.
a lot of
you
stories.
will. There'll be a lot of stories.
All right. Well, I guess that's. I hate to say it because then I'm gonna have to. You
It's
know,
okay.
it
This
makes
is
me.
off the record, too.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So this is
Nothing
how
is
I
off the record with you
This
guys.
is how I harass her into doing things, and just about anybody.
You call
right?
them out right here on the show.
True, and it's not going to stop. It's going to go on.
So if you want it,
And
if you
on and
want
on.
to keep being harassed by this, because I got your number, I'll text you.
Yeah.
El Vaquero.
Exactly.
Or you can just end it now by just saying, yeah, I'll be there. 25K. I mean, that's
Well,
something.
August. I mean, as long as I get the
That-
thumbs up
yeah.
in April, I mean, I think that's totally doable.
Okay,
and
so we're gonna give you till tax day.
okay, all
that
right.
work?
The
Deal.
best way to confirm this, so you're down in Houston, you're going to get a
Oh, wow.
clear
There we
bill of
go.
health.
There we go. I know
right?
where he's going with this.
So if you're down in Houston and you get the clear bill of health, I don't want a text saying, yeah, I'm good. I just want a text saying confirmation to Vaquero Loco.
Okay,
That's
all right.
That's all
Sounds
we need
good.
to see.
That's all we need to know. Then we're all on the same page.
Okay, that's a great idea. I like it. I like it.
Because Brandon wants to go.
He does.
Brandon wants to go anywhere the Hummers go because it's all about eating green chili hamburgers and drinking beer.
No,
so
I've learned my lesson on that one. I'm not going to do that
He
again.
won't do that next time.
No.
The time after.
well,
maybe.
somebody's got to bring the Roosters beer to the
That's right.
Vaquero. So
That's right.
And the new Reverend is good.
highly
pretty tasty.
recommended. Yeah.
I mean, I just had a Helevation again, but I had the Irreverent first, and they do it right.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much. I know.
Yeah, thank you.
And I didn't know how easy or difficult this would be, but I mean, you just this is going to inspire a lot of people, and
Well,
myself included, and just as she's mentioned throughout the entire time, it's a mindset with just pretty much anything, and her story is to the extreme, literally. But wow, just don't come down with another contagious pregnancy or something.
Yeah.
Gosh, I know.
That you know how that's done, right? How to prevent
I
it.
think so.
good.
I think
You
so.
missed maturation day.
Yeah.
Well, that was in like 4th or 5th grade or
Right.
something. That was a long time
It's
ago.
fifth
Sometimes
grade.
you forget that
It's
stuff.
5th grade. I had to attend maturation with my daughter. That was exciting.
No, there's no plans for being diagnosed with anything in the near future.
good.
So,
Well, we're
except
gonna
for running.
There we go. Well, we definitely wish you all the best. We can't wait to watch how things get better, for
Thanks,
sure.
yeah.
And again, God, I really appreciate you taking the time to spend time with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks, you guys.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much, and we will have the follow-up. Thank you for listening to the Trail Manners podcast. We'd like to thank Kelsy Bingham for joining us today. Kelsey, you are inspirational, and we can't tell you thank you enough for taking the time to join us. Good luck with the future. We can't wait to hear how things are going. We'd also like to encourage everybody out there to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Trail Manners, or swing by our website at trailmanners.com. Check out the store page for some cool gear, or let us know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or if you want to be on the show. So until next time, this is Eric Manning with Joel Hatch reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.